When he sleeps, the Southwest sleeps. And when he wakes up, the Southwest wakes up. That is his mentality. It's like an emperor mentality, which is very wrong.
All right, Mr. Festus, you heard what Najato Mohammed said. She was a former member of the PCC before she left, and she's still standing on her grounds and some of the reasons why she left the campaign council. What do we make out of this?
I will not spend more than 2 minutes on this lady. If she knows all of this, why did she come back after chasing Asiwaju to London to beg for an appointment to head an agency, head one of the directorates, one of, our campaign directorates? Why did she come back and accept the position? If she knew all of this, why did she come back and function or try to function for 4 months before we discovered that she was a mole and we flushed her out? Why did she do that? Why? So it's very simple to dismiss her. It's just a mole and somebody who was induced to leave us. And if you are playing the soundbite of somebody who knows Asiwaju, who said he met Asiwaju, why are you not playing the soundbite of somebody, Michael Achimogu, who worked with Atiku for 4 years or 5 years?
We're still going there. We're still going there, Mr. Festus. We wanted you to trash out this before we go ahead to that.
You should play the soundbite of both to members of the public. When Atiku said it was all about his children, and the children said it was all about them being billionaires, 31 of them being billionaires. So sometimes you should be fair to play soundbites on both sides to everybody.
Honorable Minister.
That is also what
Honorable Minister.
Somebody who worked with Atiku, not only Najatu who said he met Atinubu one, somebody who actually worked with Atiku and brought out secret recordings to members of the public that Atiku said, you are saying, as you say, it's all about himself and Saudi. What about Atiku, whose children said it was about them being billionaires?
Honorable Minister, please.
31 of them being billionaires.
Festus, please, if you would let me come in here.
I will not waste my time on all of these rumors and soundbites. Let us go to real issues.
Good. Okay. Please, my learned colleague, let me quickly drop this concerning what you have just said. If we had an article representative in the studio, I can assure you that clips like that will come up. But right now, we are discussing APC and your presidential candidate. I do not see the involvement of the article clips here. What we need are clarifications concerning things that have been said, concerning your candidate. So there is no basis, for bringing Achimogu's clip here. When at the appropriate time, we have a representative, just like you are representing your party. If we have a representative representing the PDP, be rest assured that we will do that. Now, I don't know if I can take the floor because
go ahead.
I want to take you up on the explanation that you gave earlier about 95% of policy implementers being bureaucrats and only 5% are the politicians.
Politicians may be less than 5%.
And politicians may even be less than 5%. So, if those who are attempting to sabotage the ambition of your candidates are in that majority, doesn't it signify the unpopularity of your candidate amongst those bureaucrats?
Bureaucrats don't win election for people. How many are bureaucrats when compared to Nigerians as a whole? We are not banking on bureaucrats to win an election for us. It's even better for the Nigerian people. The more we distance ourselves from the support of bureaucrats, the better. All we just need them to do is to do their job, but not to sabotage government policies. So what you're asking is actually in our favor. What you're saying is actually in our favor, that we're not depending on the powers that be to win an election. The more we distance ourselves from those certain powers in the villa, the better for us. And that means, of course, Asiwaju is pro-people. Asiwaju is not a crybaby to cry to government or say, support me or don't support me, I need your support. Asiwaju has since taken his own destiny into his hands. You can see that despite the fact that he's a candidate of the ruling party, he's digging in He's working harder than even the other candidates. Unlike in 2007, and I said it with all respect, I'm not saying it with respect, we were all here, except the younger ones these days who were babies at that time, when the presidential candidate of PDP was not even around. He was in the hospital receiving treatment. Obasanjo was the one doing do or die for him. The candidate did not even campaign. We were all here to say that. So let us be fair to Nigerians that this is a candidate, Asiwaju, who has taken his own destinies into his hands, who is working hard, who is not depending on the institution, certain powers that be, or government institutions and government appointees or bureaucrats to deliver him. He just wants them to do their job and do that effectively. Whether he's popular, let me finish. Whether he's popular or unpopular among bureaucrats is irrelevant.
Okay,
he has to be popular among the Nigerian
honorable minister.
Deliver people at elections.
Okay, I think we should make this a little bit more interactive.
Yes.
Because I was just wondering if the minister is no longer a minister, and how the candidate can claim that government institution or the powers that be are not involved in his campaign. The minister of labor
not involved. You see, you are mixing things up. Okay. They don't have to be involved. He's not complaining that they are not involved. Do your job.
Okay, honorable minister, are you indicting your own government because your candidate is coming out under the banner of the APC? Right now,
those bureaucrats are not APC members.
Oh, okay.
Put this in proper context.
So
those bureaucrats are not APC members.
Is that not an indictment on the government of the day?
Because
you are not even hearing me.
I'm saying you are saying something else. They are instruments in the hand of the
bureaucrats are instruments under.
Don't need to be APC members.
Okay.
But you are in control. The
government is the government of Nigeria.
Yes, and the bureaucrats you are talking about
are not APC government.
Okay, he is actually making that clear. All right.
Functionaries of government.
Okay.
Then who is in control?
The are just APC.
Who is in control? Is it the bureaucrats that are in control, or APC that is in government?
You are using a different language. I'm saying that they are the ones who implement government policies.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it at that, Mr. Festus. We have to pay these bills. We'll be coming back shortly on some other issues. Please do stay around. Let's take this.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
My fellow Nigerians, this time around, we don't need politicians who will promise us heaven and earth anymore. We need just one man who will empower local productions, make our naira valuable, tackle insecurities, transform power sector and other key sectors in this nation. Now, who is the person? Peter Obi! In this coming election, cast your vote for Peter Obi for a new Nigeria. Peter Obi, the man with a track record of transparency, accountability, and selfless service to the people. The only presidential candidate who loves Nigeria. Let's join hands together with Peter Obi to hand over Nigeria back to Nigerians under the auspices of Labour Party with the symbol of a father, mother, and child. Together we can. Labour Party, oneness and progress. Announcer, Honorable Lushedi Theophilos Oladimeji Otto, Labour Party candidate, Oyo South Senatorial District.
bá a ṣe láwọn akọ́ṣẹ́mọṣẹ́ dókítà tíṣẹ́yé bẹ́ẹ̀ náà la láwọn àwòrán-ṣàṣà mẹkáníìkì GMF Auto Services Limited. bóyá ẹ̀ tí ìdébẹ̀ wò ní ọ̀jẹ̀ mọ̀ pọ́nmọ́nàmọ́pa àwọn erin lákàtàbù oníṣẹ́ ni ó diagnose mọ́tò yín kẹ́sẹ́ bí wọ́n ti máa fẹnu fapò sórí taburétọ̀ wait and get ni kò ní lọ kábọ̀ tí machine bá ti ń discover problem láwọn fix ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ kan torí gbogbo original spare part ń bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ̀ bíbá àwọn aláràlù àtàwọn aláràtúntà gan tó wá ń kó lọ́pọ̀ yanturu ṣẹ̀rí pé gbogbo ń tẹ́ fẹ́ lójú kan ló wà. Yes, so our services, the consultancy, diagnosis, key programming, transmission repair, maintenance, spare part sales, lot of plenty ogbonge things. GMF Auto Services Limited. Pay for number 3, Oni Lane, beside White House Hotel, behind Boys High School, Labawo, Ogunpa, Ibadan. Ẹ kọ́ pé wọ́n lórí aago náà kẹ́ ẹ mọ bó ṣe wà sí 0806-634-8917 0806-634-8917. tó o bá fẹ́ kẹ́mi ọkọ̀ rí ogun GMF ló yàn láàyò.
Ṣódẹ̀kẹ́ fóònù rẹ̀ yìí mà yá yìí pọ̀. Báwa òun sọ sí ojú ẹ fún mi lẹ́jọ́ sí ibẹ̀ rẹ mo ti ra o èmi pàápàá ti mẹnu ojúlówó fóònù ìbàgbà mu. Bó ṣe yẹ kó rí gan nìyẹn ẹni tó bá mọ̀nà òní sanwó sí gbọ́ àtúmọ̀ òun source phones and accessory stores ní gbogbo ayé tó ń lọ báyìí fún ojúlówó phones tẹ́ bá ń fẹ́ bíi Samsung, Nokia, Infinix, Tecno, INT'L, Oppo àtúnwọ̀rọ̀ phones tí ò ní yọrí lẹ́nu nígbàkúùgbà kódà tó fi mọ́ èyíkéyìí iPhones bí wọ́n ṣe ń ta phones ni wọ́n tún phones ṣe lóríṣiríṣi bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ṣe ń fẹ́ ìbáàjẹ́ iPhone tó ti fọ́ lójú àbí tó ti là lẹ́yìn ẹ máa gbé bọ̀ lọ́dọ̀ wọn wọ́n ṣe easy buy ìyẹn sọ díẹ̀díẹ̀ tó fi mọ́ swap deal bẹ́ẹ̀ fi fóònù àlòkù gba tuntun lọ́dọ̀ wọn bẹ́ẹ̀ sì tún ni wọ́n tún ta oríṣiríṣi phone accessories lọ́pọ̀ kú ọ̀yọ̀kú ẹ kàn sí òun source lónìí No. 1 ìtẹ̀síwájú house along radio Nigeria Dùgbẹ̀ Ìbàdàn Ọláolúwa complex Ọjọ́ roundabout Ọjọ́ Ìbàdàn tó fi mọ́ micro station building lọ́ba Ìwó road complex bàbá olúlu bus stop Ìwó road Ìbàdàn telephone 0904-986-6985 òun source phones and accessory stores ilé ọrùn tó kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀.
Ìbò wa lágbára wa kì í ṣe fún jàgídíjàgan ẹ jẹ́ ká lò ó bó ṣe tọ́ àti bó ṣe yẹ ọ̀rọ̀ àmọ̀ràn yìí wá láti ìkànnì 32 FM 94.9.
When something correct go show, we go see am well well. Correct. Now we time to choose wetin correct for Naija. Correct. Light wey no get head, e correct. Nah, e no correct. All the promise and fail, e correct. Nah, e no correct. Stable power supply, correct. PRP and collar, correct. Collar, correct for the people. Na him we need, make Naija for day correct. Collar, correct for the people. With PRP, party with the golden key. Collar, correct for the people. Vote the correct team of Kola Abiola and Haro Zago for president and vice president. PRP, victory!
Stay tuned to 32 FM 94.9.
Safa sapeli sizo simnyama Iwasafa.
All right, so you're welcome back to 32 FM 94.9. It's still the podium. My name is Bolabo Famous School. We are live on Facebook. That is 32 FM 949 Ibadan. You can join us. Drop your comment also on YouTube. We still have Mr. FESTUS KEYAMO, the Minister of State for Labour and Employment, and of course the Chief Spokesperson for the Shetima Tinubu Presidential Campaign Council. It's great to know that you're still there, Mr. FESTUS.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Before we went on that break, I wanted us to actually round up on that particular issue that you raised, Barrister. What is the salient issue we want to get out of the bureaucracy you were talking about?
Thank you. Honorable Minister, my question is, between the bureaucrats and the 5% politicians, particularly the president, who is in control? Because, the response that you gave us appears to show a helpless government that has been overwhelmed by its bureaucrats. Is Buhari still in control, or are you admitting that the APC has failed?
Well, you are making a comment now. You are not making. You are not asking a question. And
it is a question. I am asking.
Well, you said
whether the bureaucrats who is in control. The bureaucrats.
It appears the government has been overwhelmed. That is a statement.
No. It is what you said. I am responding to what you said.
Let me answer.
The 95% and the
5%. Can we have him answer? Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
You are here to ask questions. I am the guest. It's not a debate. It's not a debate between you and me. If it's a debate, then leave that place and come here. Let me debate.
Mr. Festus, please go ahead.
Let me have my comments. Let me give my comments. And I say I disagree with you, and I do that respectfully. Now, when you make a policy, it's well-intentioned. Now, along the line, if the policy is not working, it is not with the snap of the fingers, along the line, who are those along the chain of, implementers that are actually sabotaging the policy. That is why you see the government say, the president said, give me 7 days. I will get to the bottom of this. If you know the line of those who implement government policies, it starts from the person who takes the immediate instruction to directors, to assistant directors, to those who, are on the field, on and on like that, and even up to the banks. You see, the president yesterday, like non-state actors, the president said yesterday that the banks are greedy banks. They are hoarding the money. They may be hoarding the money. So along this line, it takes time to crack down on the people within that chain of implementers who are actually sabotaging your policy. And so that's why the president said, give me 7 days. It is not a sign of failure. It is you that is making that comment to the Nigerian people. It's not a sign of collapse. No. It takes time at times to weed out these people. And once the president says, look, I will get to the bottom of this. If, for example, we wake up and we know that this is the particular person that is doing it, the person will be flushed out immediately. Are we afraid of anybody? Is anybody above the law? Nobody's above the law. I'm sure you have heard comments in the last 48 hours that EFCC, ICPC, and all will be deployed along the line to know those who are sabotaging the economy. But maybe the most important thing to me here, as a spokesperson of the campaign, is that our candidate, Asiwaju, has spoken out on behalf of the Nigerian people. He has cried out, he has spoken out, unlike the candidate of the PDP, who in a bid to spite his opponent, which is Asiwaju, has actually made himself an enemy of the Nigerian people by supporting the policy that is now being sabotaged, and we are asking for a relaxation of that policy. But they are saying no. I think we say no. Let Nigerians continue to suffer this, all because he wants to spite Asiwaju.
All right, Mr. Festus, because you mentioned Atiku over time, I wanted you to also talk on this issue of the case you have against him. You actually accused the former vice president and, of course, the presidential standard bearer of the PDP that he was actually corrupt while he was there with Obasanjo as a vice president as at then. And now you're also harping on that and saying that he must answer to those corruption charges. And you have sued him in court.
With the matter.
Well, you know that this is not just a mere accusation. Well, I know that as a lawyer, as a member of the inner bar, that you have to be actually convicted, to be declared, as an ex-convict, or for a judicial determination of your innocence or guilt. But this on the face value, on prima facie, I'm talking about prima facie evidence now, is that the entire world heard a former vice president confessing to a crime, confessing to an abuse of his office. He was also then interviewed in BBC last week, and he admitted it. He said, but it's nothing new. Now we are talking of someone who is wired already not to know what is wrong or what is right. It is completely immoral of him to even come and look at the cameras like, he did on BBC last week to say, well, nothing new in that tape. So for me, and I know my colleagues there, my friends, they know my trajectory in this country. It's not because I am campaign spokesperson. It's not because I have a role to play against him. In the last 30 years in this country, it has been my forte. It has been my stock in trade to challenge every illegality in court. To go to court using instrumentality of the law to promote democracy, fight corruption, and to promote constitutional government. So it is just one of what I've been doing in the last 30 years. I said, if no Nigerian will do it, I will do it. It is not right. It is not fair. It's not because we're in a campaign season, we see something that is wrong, that we not keep quiet. He doesn't have immunity because he's a candidate. Now, you remember the case of Hillary Clinton in the US. In the heat of campaigns, for a few weeks to voting, the FBI got fresh evidence regarding her abuse of office, regarding the use of her private emails when she was Secretary of State. In the heat of those campaigns, and even few weeks to voting, the FBI actually opened up investigation over Hillary Clinton, and they referred the file to the Justice Department to press charges against her at that time. So if we are taking a cue for more, sinner crimes, then we should, not be complaining here and reading political motives into everything. We are reasonable enough. We are Nigerians enough. We know, we saw, we heard the type of abuse of office that himself and Obasanjo perpetrated when they were in office. That should enrage any Nigerian. It should.
Okay, I wanted you to also clarify the same way we also had a whistleblower, Hundayin, also coming up to say, as a matter of fact, that he has documents actually alleging that your presidential candidate, your superior here, was involved in drug cartel and drug money. And now that case has been there for long. Would we not say that there are similarities in this kind of accusations that we've seen?
Why didn't they go to court now? You are just you've hit the nail on the head. They've been parading one paper from one from one press house to the other for the past 5 months. A case that was dead, buried. A lawyer is there sitting down with you. He knows what is called judicial determination. There's a judicial determination in a matter in a jurisdiction that's not within our jurisdiction. A matter that was determined decisively, and an indemnity was extracted from Asiwaju. It was not Asiwaju that extracted indemnity from the other side. Well, Nigerians, many who are not lawyers may not know what I'm saying, but the lawyer is sitting down with you here. In other words, the US government was begging him, please don't bring up this issue again. We have settled with you. And Asiwaju gave them indemnity. And I've told them, it's very simple. I don't have to, dwell so much on this. I've told them now in the last 4 months, go to court. They could not. Why? Because there's no case. Within 1 week, I went to court, and I'm in court. It's as simple as that.
All right, Prof, do you have any questions for?
Yeah, I was just wondering what is next, because the problem has been identified. The president says we should give him 7 days. Start for the new Naira news. What about the fuel scarcity? What is there any end in sight, Honorable Minister?
Well, I know that a task force has been put in place. I think the president is heading it, and in some parts of Nigeria, the thing is easing up already. But I think we have been assured that in the next few days, those in the distribution network who are also sabotaging the effort, they are being identified. You can see that law enforcement agencies came in. I'm sure you know DSS in the last 1 week. They said, they gave marching orders to those who they think are, sabotaging the effort along the lines of distribution across the country to, live up to their responsibilities. And in some parts of the country, they are easing up. And now we have firm assurance that it will ease up finally in the next few days.
Yes, Honorable Minister, I must commend you for a wonderful job you are doing. Because as far as I am concerned, it appears you are playing a dual role. And that is not easy. Being a member of the government that is being indicted, and being the spokesperson for that person who is indicting the government. It is not an easy role to play, and I must commend you because you are doing it wonderfully well.
I can tell you, just to chip in so that the comment does not don't go unreplied and people think I accepted that. Asiwaju is not indicting the government. I'm sorry, I disagree with you.
All right, I wanted you, because you also mentioned Asiwaju, the issue of his health. Many people have actually paraded all sorts on the social media. And now
I'm sorry. I apologize. I will not answer it because this is the same. I apologize to use the language nonsense that's been going on in the last 4 months without any evidence, and they just keep parroting something, and they want to repeat it 1,000 times to make it the truth. There's nothing wrong with Asiwaju, except you get a health. You have a health certificate to show Nigerians. If you don't have, I will not answer you.
I was because this argument about indictment, you have defined it in terms of the performance of the bureaucracy. But did you listen to the interview by El-Rufai, where he talked specifically, pointing to some cabal in the presidency as being opposed, to Asiwaju's candidacy? Is that not different from your interpretation of the statement in Abeokuta?
No, people in the village are not saying they are not necessarily APC members.
Okay.
They are not necessarily APC members. There are many bureaucrats. There are bureaucrats in the villa too. If you win an election, you come into the villa, you will see people on the ground there in the villa who are permanent staff, who are civil servants. They are there. They are there.
Okay. Honorable Minister, just before we go, a sizable number of Nigerians are worried, about your candidate, given the several gaffes, that we have been noticing at his campaign grounds. We're talking about what is apparent now. For instance, we saw that in Osun State, he was talking about students doing a program for 8 years. We heard him calling Atiku Abubakar a former Senate president and such other things. And some of the esoteric speeches that he has been given, was the gentleman with a rise,
Not esoteric. You mean to say extempore, not esoteric.
Extempore. So I don't know.
You mean to say extempore.
Okay.
No, I actually meant esoteric, but let's not dwell on that. Someone even called him a polyglot. I don't know. What explanation can you give us, for this several gaffes? Is it the stress of campaign, or what exactly is happening? Because we find that oftentimes it is, the people around him that would now have to correct him, So could you give us an explanation, as to that?
I think they've just made a habit of amplifying one slip of tongue or the other that Asiwaju may make once in a while. I'll give an example. For example, he gives a speech for 30 minutes. He goes on and on and on and on for 30 minutes. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
He goes on and on and on for 30 minutes. He makes a beautiful speech for 30 minutes. He talks about jobs. He talks about all kinds of things. Revival of the oil sector, removal of subsidy. He goes on and on for 30 minutes. In a 30-minute speech, for 3 seconds, he wants to say something out of maybe the stress of moving from place to place. He mentions something else. He corrects himself. That particular 3 seconds clip will now eclipse what he said for 30 minutes. They will make it into memes. They will make it into songs. They will put it on social media. They will begin to make fun of it. However, the other candidates too, out of the stress of campaigns, they also make the same mistake. The same. Peter Obi said the other day that it was 50,000 megawatts of power that we generate. 54,000 megawatts that Nigeria generates. He kept repeating it until he was corrected behind. You all saw that now, Haba. I'm not lying.
All right.
I'm being honest.
Before we open the phone lines, to actually take other people.
Let me finish. This is a time of honesty. That's Peter Obi, who is much younger. How dare you say that? He went to Nasarawa and said Nasarawa is a country. That this country, Nasarawa, nobody ever played that back over and over again. They didn't make it into songs. They didn't make it into cartoon. They didn't make it into memes. They left him alone.
All right, Mr. Festus, before we open the
Let me just finish. Atiku Abubakar.
Okay.
He went to the same place in Jos. The same place, the same podium where Asiwaju said he wanted to say APC, say APC. 2 weeks after, Atiku Abubakar was on that same podium, same spot, not even a different city. He said APC, PDP. Nobody talked about Atiku Abubakar. Nobody. But that of Asiwaju, guess what happened? It was headline story the next day. Headline, not even page 2. Headline! They say PDAPC. They now made it into songs. I'm sure you have heard the song everywhere. PDAPC. The song is everywhere. Okay. Nobody has made a song about Atiku Abubakar's song.
All right, Mr. Festus.
It's unfortunate, but this is where we find ourselves.
All right.
It is all politics.
A target for everybody.
It is all politics.
All right. Before we actually open the phone lines. Okay. Before we open the phone lines, I wanted to just chip this in. I wanted to ask, what do you think could work against Bola Ahmed Asiwaju in this election? Huh? I said, what do you think could work against Bola Ahmed Asiwaju in this election? Why I'm asking the question was this issue of the bullion van. We've had so many narratives. Recently, we had someone on one of the national TV, and he talked about the bullion van missing its way. And we could still recall that Ashiwaji himself addressed that issue and said, is it government money?
Let me correct it first of all.
Okay.
Let me just correct it. Comrade Adebayo, or what's his name? They made that statement. We have spoken to him. We have cautioned him. I called him myself personally. He was sorry for that statement. So let me say, this is the first place I'll tell Nigerians. He was sorry. He said he was not well briefed, and he's not one of our spokespersons. So you cannot take any statement made by somebody who is not appointed by the party to speak for the party or the campaign. I mean, the campaign, more or less, you cannot play it up as an official explanation by the campaign. I am here speaking with you this morning as the chief spokesperson for the campaign. Whatever comes from me is official for the campaign. And so we disown that statement. That is the truth of the matter.
So what is the true case of thing here when it concerns that issue?
The true case of the matter, as I speak with you now, is for you to tell Nigerians how much was in the bullion van. It's very simple and straightforward.
Only bullion
van. Let me first of all educate Nigerians. Let me educate Nigerians for 30 seconds. Let me educate Nigerians. Bullion vans are not an instrument of crime. Bullion vans are available for everybody to use. You can rent a bullion van if you want to move valuable from one place to the other. Bullion vans are owned by banks, and they're also owned by security companies. I hope you know that too. Let me tell Nigerians that bullion vans are not synonymous with banks and money. Bullion vans are synonymous with security companies that can move valuables from one place to the other. You can use a bullion van to move your trinkets that are expensive. Expensively, trinkets you put at home.
Honorable Minister.
But at that time, sorry, Barrister, before you even go ahead, because of what you said, but that period in which the bullion van was discovered was during an electoral process. Now, there are a lot of insinuations that came around as a result of the fact that an election was at hand. Would we say that he's moving something very significant at that time?
Before you answer that question, please, Honorable Minister, before you answer that question, please permit me to add this so that you can wrap up, because we know that one or two people would like to ask you via telephone line some questions. Now, as a legal practitioner, and not just that, a senior advocate of Nigeria, is it legally permissible for people to make their homes into banks, while a bullion van would take money into a private home? As a legal practitioner, is that legally permissible?
2 bullion vans.
Well, like I said, it's just simple. You are jumping the gun. You are going ahead of the preliminary issue. I mean, if you did philosophy 101 in school, and all of us did philosophy 101, you know what they call argumentum ad something. I've forgotten the argument of the fallacy of arguments. You are now assuming there was
no. I am asking you. I'm asking you a straightforward question. It's not even related to. It's not even related to the issue.
Exactly. Suggested that it was money because he said exactly money.
He
admitted that it was. I am asking you a straight question.
Barrister, can we hear him out? Let him also answer this.
Legally permissible. Hello. It is legally permissible. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
It is legally permissible to use a bullion van to move cash that is below the threshold permitted by law, the Money Laundering Act. I'm a prosecutor of the EFCC, so I can tell you that. It's permissible legally. It is.
Okay.
But let's look at the sense. I was talking about how sensitive the period was. As at that time.
Hold on. Okay. Let me educate Nigerians. Moving cash is not illegal. It's just to keep within the threshold.
Yes.
During an election day.
Let me finish now.
And what would that threshold be? And what would that threshold be?
So that this whole nonsense will stop. I want to educate Nigerians so that this nonsense will stop.
Please go ahead.
That's why I'm here. You are here to listen to my views.
Absolutely.
You are here to listen to my views.
Yes.
Now, even if you want to move $5 billion abroad, do you know that there's no crime there? There's none. All you need to do is to declare it. Just declare. That is what the law says. There's no crime also in keeping cash at home. No crime committed.
Are you sure of that?
Look at the Money Laundering Act. There's just a threshold.
And what is that threshold?
Nothing wrong about it. There's, for companies, 10 million naira. For individuals, 5 million naira. So for me and you, for example, if we 10 of us come together, 10 politicians say we need to move companies, if we have companies, 10 companies, for instance, and all of us contribute 10 million naira, we are within the threshold.
What you are justifying.
Can I finish?
What you are justifying.
Let's have him talk. Barrister, let him finish his thoughts. Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Mr. Festus.
I have prosecuted Pope for this. I have charged Pope to court. I have prosecuted Pope for this. Look at the Money Laundering Act. There's a threshold. There's nothing wrong about cash movement. There's nothing wrong at all. It's just keep within the threshold. That's all.
Now, the circumstances of that time in which those bullion vans moved is what Nigerians are even mostly concerned about. It was an election time. Now,
what is the circumstance? You are on this for 10 minutes now, and it's making no sense. There's no circumstance because during election time, you need money to pay your agents. If anybody tells you that they are not spending money,
anyway, we have.
You are interrupting me again.
Barrister, let him have his day. Please go ahead.
You are interrupting me. I am answering you. You are interrupting me.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Mr. Festus.
Just ask the question. Let me fully explain it to you.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
During election time, those people who stand in various polling units, you normally submit agents' name to polling unit, to INEC. They call them polling agents. Whether it is PDP or APC or LP, you must have those two people who stand from morning till evening to make sure your votes are counted and they now sign off. They must take Coke and biscuits or bread because they don't want to go home and eat. You don't want them to go home and eat. You must normally give them stipends, maybe 2,000, 3,000 naira. Some give 5,000 naira. It's not bribery. It's normally permitted by law to say you don't make sure you don't live here so you can buy something. It's essential to go and buy biscuits and Coke for you if you are thirsty. So you give them that money because you cannot distribute food for them all over the country. You now give them rather pocket money to send people to go and buy bread, biscuits, or anything to keep alive there from 8 in the morning to 5 or 6 in the evening when they sign off on that sheet. It is done by all parties.
So I guess that explains it.
That explains it. Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Mr. Festus.
You don't want me to talk.
Well, that explains it. Obviously, you've actually shed light on the reason why the bullion van moved at that time.
I've not shed light.
Okay, please go ahead if you have to round up on this.
You are making comments that I did not make.
Please,
it's unfair to me.
Please go ahead.
It's totally unfair to me. It's unfair to me and unfair to my candidate, and it is
Mr.
not acceptable
Festus,
to me. This is not a joke.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead and round up.
We are being serious before Nigerians.
Yes,
so
please go ahead. Can you round up your thought on this so that we can actually? Please go ahead, Mr. Festus, so that we can round up your thought on this particular issue.
So all parties, I'm not talking about the bullion van. Now you ask a hypothetical question, and I'm asking a hypothetical question. It's hypothesis.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the bullion van. I've pushed that or the bullion van back to you.
Okay.
It is nothing offensive. It's not offensive at all.
Okay.
To say a bullion van in the house of enemy is not offensive.
Okay. All right. That said, okay.
All political leaders across the length and the breadth of the country, so long as they keep the cash within limits. For individuals, it is 5 million. So if you give me 5 million naira at election day now, if I share it to you to say take care of Dugbe area, all our agents, please give them 3,000, 5,000 to make sure they don't leave the polling unit. It is legitimate. That's what all parties must do, and they do. There's nothing wrong. So let us not be deceiving Nigerians. So
that's what we're asking you. Is it the 5 million? Is it the 5 million that million vans?
Barrister, please do calm down.
I will exit. If you don't want to talk,
please, Mr. KEYAMO, sorry for that.
We are no fools here. When you say something, our duty here is to examine you. Why did you switch the mic off?
So let me finish talking. Let me finish talking. I said, once you do that during election time, once you do that during election time, it is legitimate. All leaders carry cash. During election, but it is within the limit permitted by law.
That explains it. That's fine. All right, I will actually open the phone lines if you have questions for Mr. KEYAMO this morning, a senior advocate of Nigeria, and of course, a chief spokesperson for the Shetima Tinubu presidential campaign. And of course, the numbers are 070-55,949 and 080-97949. Before we take this break, let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's the name and where are you calling us from?
This is John Olariwaju from Igunpa.
All right, please go ahead, John.
I think in my own understanding, it's like versus KEYAMO, the honorable minister, is acting as if he was in the court. And this is radio program, this is interview, and he's supposed to understand that they are talking to Nigerians. So that's number one. And then number two, so the issue of the bullion fund that they were asking him, I think he needs to understand and he needs to calm down as well, so that he'll be able to let Nigeria understand. So it's not about, you cannot convince Nigeria, we are all fool. We are not fool. We know what is going on in the country right now. I need to calm down. Otherwise, people will not even begin for whatever that he says. So that's my own contribution. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, John Olariwaju. Okay, we still have the presidential, that's the chief spokesperson for the Shetima Tinubu Presidential Campaign Council. We'll have to pay some bills. They're still here with us. We'll also take some comments on our social media. Do remember you can actually drop your comments as quickly as possible and your contributions. That is 32 FM 949 Ibadan on Facebook and of course on YouTube. All right, we'll take this commercial break. We'll be right back in the studio.
32 FM 94.9.
You fit fly.
Do you know the key to unlock your dreams of traveling abroad to different destinations like USA, Canada, UK, Australia, and other countries in Europe is at your doorstep?
All you need do is just pitch your tent with You Fit Fly, and we shall show you the world in comfort. Oh yes, we're still leading in ticketing, flight reservation, airport transfer, special vacation, hotel reservation, international travel consulting, tour package, travel insurance, and holy pilgrimage, and others.
If you therefore wish to study abroad or travel to different countries around the world, we are here to give you that opportunity.
At the Fit Fly office, Success House, 7up Road, Oluwale Main Estate, Road Road, Ibadan. Telephone 080-9300-2096. Website www.youfitfly.com. With You Fit Fly, you shall see the world in comfort.
When something correct go show, we go see and well. Correct. Now we time to choose. Waiting correct for Naija. Correct. Light when no get head, the correct. Nah, he no correct. All the promise and fail, the correct. Nah, he no correct. Stable power supply. Correct. PRP and color. Correct. Color. Correct for the people. Now him we need. Make Naija for day. Correct. Color. Correct for the people. With PRP, party with the golden key. Color correct for the people. Vote the correct team of Kola Abiola and Haro Zago for president and vice president. PRP victory!
Ta ló mọlúwa ọ̀gá mà tún ti pàwọ̀dà gẹ́gẹ́ bí aláṣọ àrà o. Ta ló mọlúwa ètò kan àrà ọ̀tọ̀ tẹ́ ẹ máa ń jẹ̀gbádùn níkànnì adẹ́rìnpòṣónú 32 FM 94.9 ní gbogbo ọjọ́ àìkú Sunday láago 2:30 sí aago 3:00 ọ̀sán tẹ́lẹ̀. Ó ti pa àkókò dà ní sáà yìí sí aago 11 àárọ̀ di aago 12 ọ̀sán. Àkókò ló yí padà o. Gbogbo tẹ́ ẹ máa ń jẹ̀gbádùn lórí ètò Ta ló mọlúwa ò yí padà. Tèmítọ́pẹ́ ọmọ Fálànú yín onígègé àrà ọmọ ìyá àdúrà yóò máa wà lórí ètò láti tún máa kí oríkì Olódùmarè lọ́lọ́kan òjọ̀kan gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìṣe rẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ́yìn tẹ́ mọ olúwa náà mọ̀ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa láti kí oríkì olúwa tẹ́ ó sì tún láǹfààní láti jẹ ẹ̀bùn tẹ́ bá ti ń dáhùn ìbéèrè láti inú bíbélì mímọ́ láago 11 òwúrọ̀ sí aago 12 ọ̀sán ní gbogbo ọjọ́ àìkú Sunday ni o lẹ́hùn máa pàdé olólùfẹ́ yín Tèmítọ́pẹ́ ọmọ Fálànú lórí ètò Ta ló mọ̀lúwa fún ìkéde àti ìpolówó ẹ kàn sí ẹ̀ka ìpolówó ọjà ní 32 FM tàbí kẹ́ ẹ pè Tọ́pẹ́ Fálànú sórí 070-5140-4540 070-5140-4540 Ta ló mọ̀lúwa tọ̀sẹ̀ yìí á tún lárinrin o ẹ ò gbọ́dọ̀ mísì ẹ̀.
nǹkan kọ̀kọ̀ má ṣe é lo oògùn mámọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ àṣírí gbogbo ní ó dèrò gbangba gbogbo mọ́jà gbọ́ tí tàbùkù ẹni bó bá ta sétí kejì kẹta ló yẹ kẹ́dà ó jìnnà sí kí wàá ló ń tẹ̀yìn ṣe pamọ́ tẹ́nìkan ò mọ̀ àmọ́ tọkàn yín ò fúyẹ́ torí pé ẹ ò tí ì sọ jáde ètò nǹkan kọ̀kọ̀ ní kẹ́ ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ gbogbo nǹkan kọ̀kọ̀ tó ti dàrú mọ́ra ìsọnù ẹ̀kú fún yín lọ́jọ́ tó pẹ́ orí nǹkan kọ̀kọ̀ lẹ́ọ̀ tuntun lẹ̀ fáráyé tí wọ́n kọ́gbọ́n tára àtẹ̀mí tiyín náà ó sì kọ́fẹ́ aago 10 alẹ́ sátidé lẹ́tọ̀ pẹ̀lú Láyìn Àṣàmú ọmọ Akínbọ́lá ní ìkànnì ìfẹ́yìn ẹ̀ 32 FM 94.9 bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ṣe ń pè wọlé láì dákọ yín lára yóò sì mọ kọ́gbọ́n lára nǹkan kọ̀kọ̀ tẹ́ ẹ bá tú síta alẹ́ sátidé ọ̀sẹ̀ yìí láago 10 ààbọ̀ nǹkan kọ̀kọ̀ kò ṣeé má gbọ́ ètò.
32 FM 94.9.
Safasa pelisizo simnyama.
You're welcome back, and you are still on to the podium this morning. Our time is fast spent, and our second guest is also waiting. We'll take one more call this morning and have your thoughts.
Well, I didn't respond to the first call.
All right, we'll take it together. Sorry, Mr. Festus. Hello, good morning, please.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's the name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Oyebanji Dash.
Okay.
I'm calling from Ibadan.
All right, please go ahead, Oyebanji. Snappy.
Now, I want to ask the Honorable Minister a question. I want to be one of his fans right from the days of Rayo's case. Now, considering the president advising the citizens to vote for any personnel from any party, and looking at the former president Obasanjo, he campaigned for his own party candidate. Barack Obama also did the same thing in America. Now the president is saying vote for anybody, not even my candidate. Can you explain to me what was happening between the presidency and the party candidate?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Festus, here you have them, the questions.
Okay, the first one, just to tell my brother who called, my good friend and brother, that I was asked the legal questions. What you say, I'm behaving as if I'm in court. That's my training. Well, the question they asked me was a legal question, whether it's not an offense. My brother in the studio just said, is it not an offense? Is it within the law? You know, so I have to also respond, you know, stating the law as I know it and as I practiced it for many years, you know. So that's for that. I behave like the lawyer because it's a legal issue that I have to respond to. Even all the queries about Ashiwaju and Bullion Van, it's all about legality too. It's about legality, whether he has committed an offense by doing what he did. So actually, we cannot run away from the fact that it's a legal issue. The second one, my brother talked about, the other caller, about Mr. President saying that vote for anybody of your choice. That, of course, is a general comment to mean that I am not here to force you to say because I am president, you must vote for my candidates. However, at the same time, same venue, same podium, he raised the hand of Ashiwaju and said, this is our candidate, vote for him. But however, Nigerians, you are still free to make your choice. Now, that is the dignity you require of a president. And I think that whoever, you know, people have been unfair to President Buhari for so many years, but I think they are beginning to see his true color coming to the end of his tenure. And I think Nigerians are beginning to accept him as a man of honesty, integrity, and dignity.
All right.
Now,
we just also want
like,
okay.
If you compare that to what Obasanjo did in 2007, and I know my brothers in the studio there will know between the two attitudes of the two presidents, which is accepted, which is more morally acceptable. For a president in 2007 to say it is a do or die affair, Yar'Adua must come.
All right.
And Yar'Adua was even not present. And this one that says, look, I leave you to your conscience.
All right, we just have to let you go, Mr. Festus, but we want you to have this at the back of your mind that we do not support any political party here, and of course we're doing our job. And I think most of the questions the barrister asked you were just universal questions, and we wanted it orderly, and that's why we needed to hear from you. And we hope that you will give us more updates, especially when we have gray areas. We'll always call upon you to have you on the program. We are not for any political party. We're being neutral, and we hear from all sides. We must say a big thank you to you for being part of this conversation this morning.
Thank you for having me, and good morning.
Festus is my brother, and he is a wonderful lawyer, and we appreciate you. Thank you very much for being our guest.
All right, Prof.
Yeah, it's been a very pleasurable time talking with you this morning, Festus. I think the last time we spoke was last December at the Yaga meeting at the Hilton, if you remember. So thank you for being our guest.
I see. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much for your time. Okay, we will take this breather, and of course we have our second guest join us on the program.
Safasa pelisizo simnyama Iwasafa Isizo saba Kavula mo Alichaniko Kelize Wemaye wemodo Safasa pelisizo simnyama Iwasafa.
All right, you're welcome back. You're still onto the podium. My name is Bolabo Famous School, and of course we still have Barrister Yomi Ogunlola and Professor Remy Ayede with us in the studios this morning. The program is coming to you from 32 FM 94.9, and our second guest is also in the studio. We have Honorable Adidapo Lam Additional. He is the APC House of Representatives candidate, Ibadan Northeast and Southeast Federal Constituency. It's great to have you here, Honorable. Good morning.
Good morning, my sister. It's good to be here.
All right.
Barrister, I greet you, Prof. Good morning, sir. Our listeners at home, good morning.
All right. Now you want to go for another term at the House of Representatives. What do you have for your constituency? Let me start off that way.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, it's important to let people always remember that the responsibility of a legislator is to make laws. And going forward, you also know that you have oversight functions. But in the context of our country, you know you have to go forward to also facilitate projects to your constituency. I believe that while in the House of Reps between 2015 and 2019, I had a lot of pending things that I wanted to do that I couldn't do before I left the place. So I believe I need some more time to be able to
What are these things?
First and foremost, when you talk about legislation, at a particular point in time, I was pushing a motion on the issue of youth unemployment, and I believe that it's very sad to note that at every point in time, when the life of a particular assembly ends, most of these bills or motions that you move, they have to start all over again during the next assembly. So it couldn't fly at that time. The issue of estimated billing, which I proposed that should be made criminal, should be criminalized, is also still pending. and a couple of things like that.
All right, let me go to Barrister. Barrister, please, you can have your first question this morning.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm going to deal with Dapo this morning. Yes, some of your constituents have complained. They say Dapo is not like his father, and I am going to tell you why they said that. You have also made reference to the reason for your wanting to go back to the House of Representatives, which is to facilitate projects in your constituency. Now, they say you are unlike your father because, particularly in Felele, when your father was on the political turf, electricity was ever available at Felele, but that since you replaced Daddy on the political turf, Felele appears to have been taken away from the grid, and that you have failed, neglected, and or refused to do something about it. So this morning, I have brought that battle to you in the studio. Why are you not like Daddy?
Thank you very much, Barrister. You are an uncle that I have a lot of regard for, and I know you know better, and I thank you for giving me this platform to sell myself once again. Sometimes people will think when they ask you questions or they attack you, they are criticizing you. If you're smart enough, they're giving you a platform to sell yourself. First and foremost, I can never be like my father. My father is my father, and I am who I am. If I try to put my legs in his shoes are extremely too big for me. So I will only just fit into my size of my shoes. That's first. Secondly, at the time that they are making reference to, my father was the executive governor of a state. I have not rose to that point where I can be competing with the performances of my father. The kind of things that an executive governor can do, a member of the House of Reps couldn't have done that. And you just make reference back to even when my father was in the House of Reps, was he able to do that? He waited for his time to be governor, and he was able to do that. Now, having said that, they can still judge me based on the little that I've done. Idiodo, Felele Road today is extremely in a very pitiable state. At the time I was in the House of Reps, that road was not like that. I know how many times I fixed it. In Felele, where they have a couple of issues as regards transformer and all of that, go to Felele police station. You see, one of the newest transformers that ever entered Felele was put there by myself, was facilitated by myself. When you talk about other empowerment programs, where people, traders and all of that were able to benefit, I did that. When you talk about provision of water, I have 3 spots in Felele where I provided water for them. Lion Junction, Olonshogo, and the, what's it called now? I think it's called, I can't remember the name now, but 3 spots in Felele where you have water project. So many students of tertiary institutions in Felele benefited from my bursary while I was in the House of Reps. I bought forms for WAEC, NECO, and JAM for students in Felele. In fact, Samuel Adedayo, who used to live on my street, was a beneficiary of my scholarship while I was in the House of Reps. Ibire Primary School in Rabde is a beneficiary of